to give it more dynamism, because young people are dynamic. They're more dynamic than older people. Older people may have wisdom, but dynamism really tends to reside amongst young people. That's human nature. So, but I always tell young people, every young lawyer will become an older lawyer, and every older lawyer was a younger lawyer. When it comes to ethics, right? Seniority in the bar is important, sacrosanct. It's just a privilege. It does not mean that a senior lawyer will treat you anyhow. It means it is premised on mutual respect,
Mm-hmm.
right? Mutual respect. That's why in court, when there's a senior, they'll go before you naturally, not because they're better than you, but the one day you'll be a senior. You have to look at the rationale of seniority, right? And you also can learn from them. When you are senior and a junior lawyer is in court, they make mistakes. They correct you. I remember I had a case with Hussein Dawo, and I made a procedural error. He could have struck out my case. He asked the judge, he helped me out, and asked that I come and file my process.
Wow.
Yes, yeah? And learned. And he's on the other side. Where so that's the spirit. We never had problem with seniors.
Mm-hmm.
We could go to anybody. I could go to Antum. I have a case. I'll go to Antumange. I go to Aida Rami. I go to Ami Bensouda. I go to Uncle Usainu. I go to Musa Bite. It's okay. But now also I think okay. Also some seniors also are not as approachable. But sometimes it's a personality issue. But many juniors also don't ask. They assume that this person will not talk to me. Because when I sit with juniors, I say, "What is the problem?" This guy is arrogant. I say, "Why? Have you ever spoken to the guy?" No. So how do you know that person will not speak to you if you don't come and ask them to help you? So we even have like the bar. We start having meet and greet whenever we enroll lawyers. We bring the seniors to talk to them just to build the gap. But I think there's this stereotype of us and them in Gambia,
Mm-hmm.
which is across all sectors, and we need to stop really stereotyping these things. If we want to be a progressive society, we have to focus less on those things and more on where you want to get to. You can learn from your senior. Of course, there are seniors who may not be the most ideal and like may not be the most ideal in terms of how they treat their juniors. But if you are a junior and you want to progress, you should not that should not stop you. You'll find somebody else who you can do it, because there are many willing seniors who go out of their way to help the junior. And I think also the younger generation, I believe, feel more entitled. There's a generation of entitlement because your generation of knowledge, you have so much information that we didn't have. You growing up in Gambia, you have when I was going to university, in my university, you had to go to a computer room, book to use the computer, to book the internet. You didn't have Google. You had Ulster Vista was the and Netscape was the browser. I mean, our internet speed was 58K modem dial-up.
Yeah.
So we didn't have that much information. Today you are in Gambia, you have as much information as somebody sitting in Washington, literally now.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So because of that, the gap has closed down. So the expectations of the young Gambian lawyer professional is as high as the one in anywhere in the world. So that also brings a certain level of entitlement and why this, why that, and they challenge the system, which is good. But as we challenge the system, let's also look at our context and our reality and have a balance. Because every lawyer should be interested in having a profession that is based on ethics and values. That transcends generations.
Mm-hmm.
We have a duty to keep it or make it better for the next generation. So we cannot dilute. It has to have professional standards. We should not lower the standards for anybody. But now in Gambia, I can tell you something. Sometimes the standards I think are lowered to allow people to pass through. I'm being honest with you. I mean, it happens. I see people. I don't want. Let me not even go there. But anyway, I'm just saying that if we should have an honest conversation. Yes, I think more could be done to help the young people, and the seniors could do a lot more, and we should reflect and do more. But also, I think the young people should also look at themselves and say and ask themselves, are we doing enough? If you go to other countries, I sit on many international platforms, young lawyers platform, Commonwealth lawyers, IBA. I sit there, Africa. I travel all over, and I see the attitude is different with many of these lawyers, young lawyers, compared to Gambian lawyers. I'm being honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
because Gambia is a entitlement, and it's. I think you can be progressive. You can criticize, but let's also understand that let's build our profession based on values, and we have to collectively work out what those values should be and remain. Of course, it's not cast in stone. Some things will change and adapt. Coming to advertisement, as they say in this part of the world. I mean, our code of conduct doesn't allow it in Gambia. So there's a ban, there's a complete ban. But that is not consistent. If you go to England, baristas can advertise as long as it's truthful. It's not a misrepresentation. The Bar Council has guidelines as to what you can do, and when it comes to advertisement in England. And the rule was based on, you shouldn't tout for work. There's no to touting, asking, because it affects the dignity of a barrister. But nowadays, you can have what is a website? Right? I mean, I have a website. Well, I remember I was one of the first to have a website, and there was an issue about. I'm like, well, take me to court. I'm gonna have a website. I'm just saying this is who I am, right? But so we need to adapt our profession to the to where we're in the world. At the same time, maintain our values, because you see, a barrister is not like a solicitor. We are barristers and solicitors. A barrister is somebody who's basically, first and foremost, your first mandate is to ensure you defend the rule of law. It's a profession. It's not just. It's a profession. It's a calling. It's not just a job that you
vocation.
studio get. It's a vocation, and that comes with a lot of responsibility. That's why the dignity of that office is sacrosanct. So some of these rules are designed to insulate us from the temptations that comes with materialism. That's why if you look at the barristers, if you look at the gown, the back, that's where they used to put their money when you're paying barrister in England. If you look at the history, so that you don't face and give money, just put the money at the back, because they weren't even charging fees. You do the work, advocate freedom, they put money at the back of your wig, the gown. There's a little space there. You put the money, because that was the history. So we tend to follow. We don't even know the history of what we're doing. So even those countries that came up with these ideas, they've moved on. England has moved on. Australia has moved on. Canada has moved on. Some Caribbean,
USA.
many African countries, but African countries have stayed in the past. Ghana, Nigeria, others, we're all in the same boat.
Kenya allows advertisement.
No, Kenya is very progressive. Kenya is very progressive. Kenya is probably the most progressive legal environment in Africa. Definitely. And if you look at Kenya laws,
and don't
if you look at Kenya,
no, I was just also going to ask
ahead.
you, don't you think that also sort of there is some form of gatekeeping, because senior lawyers with credibility and also certain level of popularity gets to stand out all the time because of the amount of years they've spent being there, the cases that they've litigated, and the name that they have, to the exclusion of young lawyers who, by the way, a lot of people don't know. And now you are forced to associate yourself with senior lawyers who have been there for so long because of this issue. If it was open and there are guidelines to regulate what regulations to have about in regards to advertisement, then there could be some level of a level playing field. But you don't think the field is not level, so to speak, for lack of better expression.
But okay, I think I'll put it differently.
Okay.
Today, if you qualify, if you go and read medicine and become a doctor, do you think it's okay you just go and open your hospital and start curing people?
I mean,
certainly,
yes, you certainly need some training, extra training for sure.
It's called apprenticeship, right?
Yes.
Housemanship. You know, in America, how long it takes before you can touch somebody in the world. In America, you live in America especially. So I would know it's not level, because the idea is, if you train as a lawyer, you have the academic, and then you do the professional. The idea is that you cannot just wake up and open your shop and say, I'm taking clients. You have to have, when you have a pupillage, you have a tenancy. So everybody goes through the same system. So it's not discriminatory. What I went through is what Antuman Gay went through. It's not like there's one rule for Antuman Gay, one rule for Salieu Taal, one rule for Ibrahim Sonko. So it's not.
But we have a very young. We have a very young legal system.
I'm coming.
Yeah, okay, go ahead,
I'll give you empirical evidence. People like Abdullah Fati, Chief Kirukumbo Job, they're very successful lawyers, right or wrong?
Right.
How did I do it? And many others, right? I came young, no, didn't know, started from zero. Look at where I am. I respected those norms. I learned and have my own practice, right? I didn't want to say I'm going to jump. I don't want to do what I don't want to jump. I mean, it's not you're not forced to, because you're not forced to join any. You have to find a lawyer that you can work with and have a. I mean, I give Banjuk was my people. Our guy was my people. Many have gone through, passed through me, and they do wonderful things. I think you have a lot to gain if you learn. I didn't want to have a practice when I left the bank. I joined Usman Jame. In fact, I wanted to join many lawyers, but I couldn't get a place for some reason or another. It's not. I wanted to learn before I start my own. Honest to God, I want to learn more. But I mean, I joined Usman Jame, and he left after 6 months. Went to the ADB. I was on my own, and I struggled. So for me, I think we also need to have a little bit of humility to understand that this profession is not about risk to make money, and that's the problem. Build yourself, build your capacity. When you build a capacity, you make money, because at the end of the day, they're going to meet 1,000 lawyers, but clients will know where they go because they know where they'll get the best service. Sometimes client will go to some lawyers and they'll make a mess, and somebody has to clean it up. It's law is a journey, and you get the more seasoned you are, the better equipped you are to deliver. So it's not like just opening a building and then to turning out dozens of conveyance. That's what people think law is. No, it's not, because you are doing someone's land paper. You make a mistake, you could cost them their house. Maybe you got one recital wrong, but it's not. Many of them think it's cut and paste.
Mhm.
We see it over and over again. I sit in the disciplinary committee. Both old and young lawyers make errors, commit, I mean, faux pas. So I think it is not, it actually disheartens me when some young lawyers don't want to subject themselves to standards and processes, because I am who I am today because of so much jar jar, bro.
Mhm.
I could have skipped, if I skip, I will not be who I am today. I can confidently say that I've learned and I'm still learning. Sometimes I pick up the phone today, I call Ami Bensura, I call Okosura. But not many of these people think that I never saw myself as competing with Uncle Surah Hatajani or Mtuman Gay. I saw us complementing them, because for me, I have my path. I can learn from them. If you have that attitude, you'll go far. But if you think that, oh, this guy's not going to give me space, no, you have to turn it around. Say, what can I do to be like him or better than him? For me, that's my mindset.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, like there's a young guy, I think his name is Lamin Cisse, right? He does IP. He's brilliant. He has his
Mohammed,
niche.
he was my classmate.
Mohammed, exactly. He's
Yeah.
who does by IT better than Mohammed in the country? I'm giving an example. So you as a young lawyer, rather than trying to see nyom style, nyom Mr. Gay, say, look, how can I create my niche? I created my niche. I knew what my niche. I didn't do what everybody was doing. I went the other way. I created my niche. I didn't sit and say, "Oh, how am I going to do ambition co? How am I going to do A?" I said, "No. Where do you think I have a comparative advantage?" So that's how you think if you want to succeed in life. Think of a solution to the problem. How do I provide something that's different, or how do I provide it differently?
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, this- you're going to give similar services, but how do you deliver it differently? And that's about your attitude. So I think, and that applies to both older lawyers and younger lawyers, but I think we tend to have this dichotomy of us and them Gambia. This one
Yeah.
is elite, this one is elite. This one is the, I mean, and we need to stop that. That's why if we don't stop that, this country will never progress. Because you know what? Everybody is one generation away from poverty. Today, you
Mhm.
are where you are. Your kids are going to go to private school.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to call them privilege,
Mhm.
and you're not
Mhm.
going to like it,
Yeah.
right? My
Yes.
grandfather was dead poor. My father gave me privilege. My kid goes to school with my friend Bubakante, who's from Baribu, Kenya. Me and Bubakante, we live in the same neighborhood. Our kids go to the same school. We drive the same cars, go to the same. We are the same, equal.
Mhm.
But 2 generations ago, we are different.
Mhm.
So, so we need to that government thing of like boxing people in
Yeah.
every facet of life is really holding us back. Let us, as intellectuals, we need to transcend that and look at what can Ibrahim Sonko bring to the table. Forget Ibrahim fan la jógee
Mhm.
kanaay papaam ban tra la jógee fan la dëkka ban school la dem Ibrahima lan la am pour ci table bi Salieu Taal Forget about his background. What can Salieu Taal put on the table? Judge Salieu Taal or Ibrahim based on substance,
Yeah.
issues, tangibles. But Gambia, we come with preconceived ideas and notions before we even start anything. Some things I will say it, people look at differently. If Mali say it, it's different. If I say it, I'm privileged. If Mali says it, it's okay. As an example.
Mhm.
By vice versa. And I think sometimes we need to, and it's also not fair because we are Gambians like everybody else. I didn't choose to be born where I was born.
Mhm.
Neither did with your child. So tomorrow, if your child, they said that tomorrow your child Ibrahim cannot be in Gambia because his father went to America. He's privileged, and that's the kind of society we're building.
Yeah.
If you go to University of Gambia, you go to Oxford. It doesn't matter. Can you do the job? Is that all that matters?
Yeah.
And we have to be confident enough to say it doesn't matter. In Nigeria, the top banks are owned by Nigerians who some of them they never left Nigeria, and they are I mean complex. They don't care whether you went to Harvard. They full of yahar. The people who founded GT Bank, I was working in GT Bank. They are multimillionaires. They are local guys who went to school in Nigeria. Follow Adeyola and Tayo. They built a world-class bank from Nigeria. They beat Citibank. They beat all those banks. They beat them. All those European banks. They beat them and set up their own thing. As an example. But Gambia, we always about Kifila Juge, Kifila Juge, and the rest of it. Sorry. So sorry for divert. But I'm just saying that this older, younger, we have to really unpack it and have a serious conversation about it. I think
Yeah.
there's a platform to discuss. And when I was about president, I created a WhatsApp group for the first time, and we're chatting, discussing. But
Mhm.
sometimes the young people can sometimes some older people don't even want to participate because they are being insulted. That's not, even in a culture. You know, dañu am culture am ada. Mag dang
Wow.
ko jox ciram.
Mhm.
Fatel bari yow loy doctor. The same way mag tamit xala dang ko jox ciram. But
Mhm.
we are so confrontational about everything in Gambia. And I
Yeah.
think your space is can also help. Sometimes
Address.
if we discuss, you realize that maybe what you're talking about, we are not that different because I was a junior and the same thing you suffered, I suffered it. And you
Mhm.
you you're told you're gonna be a senior one day. So let's, as long as we are not, there are no barriers, unnecessary barriers for people, we can always look at what barriers are the challenge and we fix it. Like I'm in the young legal council, and we always find ways of, even let's say this people like system, we're trying to find a way of making it easier for people to expand the place where you can have a privilege so that you'll not be deprived because of the limited spaces.
Mhm.
There's a lot happening now. You maybe be able to do a privilege in a bank, maybe you can do it maybe in at GRA if you have a supervisor, so on and so forth. All those things are happening. Maybe it's not announced, but the people are working to make it easier. I mean, the Chief Justice is the chair of the Young Legal Council, and I can tell you, he's always about whenever we talk about these things, it's all about how do we make it easier for people to qualify and participate. That's the discussion at the table.
Yeah.
Bend backwards to make it happen. I can tell you, as a matter of fact, as somebody who sits at the table when the policy is being drawn.
Sal, another important area you earlier made mention to of Usman Jambe, and I
Yes,
remember using his book when I was going to law school on constitutional development. And I think you also just talked about CJ, Chief Justice Hassan Edbi Jallo. I bring up their names because these are two eminent jurists or legal scholars in the Gambia who write prominently. And there's not a lot of lawyers in the Gambia that write. At least maybe I don't have access to them. I can't
no,
see them.
no,
Satan
you're
Nabane.
right.
Yes, Satan Nabane is another admirable one that, by the way, congratulations on nomination. You know,
Yes,
we're all rooting for her. I think we
absolutely,
can use this opportunity to do that. But yes, Sal, that's an
absolutely.
important area. Unless people who are involved in academia, you don't see a lot of Gambian lawyers engage in serious intellectual inquiry or writing or publications in journals. And I think that's a worrying trend. Speaks to what sort of lawyers and what their interests are. I mean, not generally. I think there are some that's still right, but generally the attitude is people don't really write. They're not interested in that part of what their legal education or legal learning or legal
Yeah,
investigations, whatever it is that you want to call it. Why is this the
yeah.
case?
Okay, I don't. I can. I mean, okay. I think the way I mean, I've actually lamented about this but the way I put it would be different. We don't have many in other countries. You have legal academics.
Yes.
You don't like in you have people who just want to just be look at law from an academic point of view. So
Mhm.
they might be lawyers, just title lawyers, but they spend their time just writing research and in academia, right? We don't have that many legal academics compared to other countries. I think part of it is also because we didn't have a university until recently, right? Because if you have a university, at some point, some people, when they finish law degree, they'll do a master's and they'll PhD and they'll be fellows and they write books. Like in Nigeria, that's what happens in Ghana, and they become professors and the rest of it. The fact that we didn't have a university might also explain why we don't have legal academics. So when lawyers qualify, they go into legal practice or get a job, and sometimes they don't really go back and do academia or do write-ups and stuff like that. That is not to say that it's not needed. I mean, I'm kind of academically oriented, and I see myself gravitating towards that anyway.
Mhm.
I have a passion for academia and academics, and I always joke with Satang that I really want to come and be an assistant, and and Gayso writes as well. Gayso,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Gesso is great. Mhm.
our revered father Fafam Bay was a first class academic who wrote a lot. Fafam Bay,
Talking
yeah.
about yes.
So, but I think there's also an opportunity for the young people,
Yeah.
right? It's a great opportunity for the young people. So I think that's one thing that's missing in Gambia. We don't have academic discussions about law. We don't have we have maybe two or three uh, academics or four that are
I mean,
known.
even not
I mean,
not just even in academia, but even here, lawyers are curious. They write articles and have them published. In the
yes,
Gambia, not obviously, if you're in academia, that's different. You have to publish or you
yeah,
perish. Phenomena that we know in academia. But even lawyers like that are practicing, I think there is not that
oh
interest.
yeah, oh
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I agree, and I think you'll see a lot of that changing. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the changing. Um, and now it's even easier to publish, right? With technology and social media. But I just think that not only law, I think we are not that much of an academic, I mean, intellectually inclined population, whether we're lawyers or economists or bankers. If you go to any country, the brilliant people are always writing. Nigeria, Senegal, they write opinion pieces. In Gambia, there's something about just keeping a low profile in Gambia. The brilliant minds who don't want to be seen for one thing or another, they will not write, they will not share their wisdom, and they will go to the grave with their wisdom. As an example, because also this society, rightly or wrongly, sort of sometimes brilliant people pay a price, a heavy price in Gambia. When you write and you're brilliant, they say this guy is showing off. I
Mhm.
mean, in other countries, people you're revered for being
It's
brilliant.
celebrated. Yes.
Yeah, in Gambia, it's like, hey, kid dafa dangam, Ibrahim Rumyaka showing off. I mean, I'm sorry, even sometimes, I mean, in our, I am in different networks of lawyers.
Mhm.
The caliber of discussions that I see in other groups, I don't see it in the Gambian space. I don't think, with all due respect, we're that intellectually inclined. I'm sorry to say that this generation, and now where we are, because people look at law from a very functionally lens rather than from a much deeper um, uh, tool as a tool for social justice. I mean, I find it very hard to have discussions with lawyer beyond procedural issues. I
Yeah.
mean, that's why I'm very close to Abdullah Fatih. We work together because we have extensive discussions on philosophy of law, everything, and there are many I can have it in Gambia with,
Yeah.
because they're just concerned about Rule 24 sub 5 says you have to file within time. I mean, if you look at our law reports, our case law, our substantive law has not changed that much in Gambia. A lot of our laws are on procedural issues.
Mhm.
I mean, in Gambia, if you're a good procedure, you're a good lawyer. That's it.
Yeah.
If you know procedure, you're a good lawyer. So substantively, it doesn't matter that much. So our lawyers are the way our lawyers are. Many of them are wired. They're more wired to stop you from moving with your case rather than going to the substantive issue. So a lot of cases are in court. The lawyer who can put more stumbling blocks in your way is more likely to succeed than the lawyer who just wants to go and decide the issue on substantive matters of law. That's the wiring. So technicality is very critical in Gambia. But if
Yeah.
you go everywhere else, technicality is secondary. In England, where I studied, they say the overriding objective is to get justice. That's it. So technical can never stand in the way of justice,
Hmm.
ever. It's actually in the procedure rules. Any rule that actually can deny justice can be waived. So if you file out of time, but it will lead, if by not going to the case, somebody will suffer injustice, the court will allow you. The judge has a discretion. In Gambia today, if you are, I've had cases that broke my heart. If you are some lady from Burfoot, they serve you processes. You take the process, you receive service. You have 30 days to file a defense or to file like an application to extend time. You don't do it. You know you're shut out. That lady is shut out. The fact that she's uneducated, she don't read English, doesn't matter. Maybe she goes to a lawyer after day 45. The lawyer cannot do nothing, can't do anything. So that lady will go to court without a defense and could lose her house. Maybe her defense would have been to show her documents. That document will not be before the court, so that land that developer is taking or that investor is taking belongs to her. They will not look at the justice of it. They look at, well, the rule says within 30 days you have to file. If you want to extend, you have to file before the 30 days. If you don't, you cannot. Period. So these are some of the challenges, and
Hmm.
and people talk about procedural justice in Gambia, not substantive justice. In philosophy. For me, I'm not interested in procedural justice. I'm interested in substantive justice, which is rooted in respect for law, respect values of good governance, accountability. I always circle back to those issues. Sometimes something happens, you're like, I don't know what section, but this cannot be right.
Hmm.
Your instinct tells you this cannot be right, and then you walk backwards to see why it's not right.
So finally, it's been really wonderful talking to you, and I cannot let you go without talking to you about this specific subject, which is the concept of subjudice, or which otherwise referred to as under consideration. Now, in the Gambia, you see a lot of lawyers in the public sphere. When you're being asked, even eminent or senior lawyers, sometimes you ask them about a specific issue which they have no bearing or any relationship whatsoever, and they invoke quickly that, oh, the issue is before the courts, I cannot talk about it. uh, I want you to explain to us what is the concept of subjudice, and whether in fact there is any legislation in the Gambia, besides the non-codified concept of contempt of court, that bars lawyers from having discussions or conversations or analysis or opinions about ongoing cases before courts in the Gambia.
Okay, actually, as a matter of fact, um, the code of conduct for legal practitioners 2011, I think it's section 44, I'm not sure, I can't remember, has a specific provision that actually says that the lawyer must desist from interacting or discussing with the press whilst the matter is the press or the media, I think, whilst the matter is in court. That's actually in law. It's codified in Gambia, under Gambian law.
Oh
It's a
wow.
common law. Subjudice is a common law principle emanated from common law, but we have actually legislated in Gambia. It's codified for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
I'll
didn't
send you.
know
I'll
that.
send. So actually, it's actual law, and of course,
Okay.
even section 24 of the Constitution. Some of the freedom of expression. There are also reasonable limits that can be placed on that expression, public interest and other things. So our law definitely recognizes the limits of freedom of expression, and also the code of conduct is very explicit about lawyers not speaking to the media whilst during the pendency of a case. This is in black and white. But I had been thinking about it a lot. The language is that the legal practitioner, it means if you're not a law lawyer, you're not covered, right? It says legal practitioner.
Mhm.
A legal practitioner is somebody who's enrolled to practice law in the Gambia. So the irony of it is that a non-legal practitioner, there's nothing saying that a non-legal practitioner cannot discuss it, which is really ridiculous. So today, a layperson can go to court, can go on TV Khalifa Saleh could go on TV and talk about any case he wants, and it's not breaking the law, the code. But me and you and others, we can't because our professional code of conduct says we can't, and that is really absurd. I think we should really move away from that. The reason why you have subjudice is to prevent any discussion that would prejudice a case. That
I
was
think
common
prejudice.
law, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. But now, um, in England and other places, they have moved away from that, and usually they use contempt laws to regulate it. But now they find ways of balancing the right to freedom of expression and right to fair hearing. And in England, you can speak about cases, but the contents are clearly drawn out. The Bar Council, they have guidelines. So I think in Gambia, it is better that we revisit this position and allow people to speak with clear guidelines. You can speak as long as what you say is not prejudicial to a case, right? So because there are a lot of things that we need to discuss and educate the public about, and very often non-lawyers are doing it. So I think it's important that once and for all we really amend this provision. And in fact, the code of conduct should be amended. It is 2011. It's
Hmm.
old. And we're in 2025, right? I think that's about what 13 years or 14
Yeah,
years. Yeah.
about
So
that.
I think I have been I have been an advocate for really dealing getting rid of this rule about subjudice rule. We can now, I think we should look at the other jurisdictions that allow it and learn from them, and then make sure that uh, the public the public have a right to know now. Right to know is a human right. Right to
Hmm.
know. We live in an era of transparency and right to know, access to information. So the public has a right to be taken along whilst the case is going through commentaries and opinion, and so as long as you didn't cross the line. I think it makes sense.
Sal, finally, and I promise this is the last. It's been, again, really enlightening and educative for me talking to you, and I hope the audience are able to pick a thing or two from it as I have. It's elections year 2026, and depending on my conversation, usually I don't like to invoke politics, but
It's
politics
okay.
is life. Sometimes we just can't avoid
Say,
it.
say it again. Politics
Yes,
life.
politics is life. So, and this is dialectic space, like you rightly
Yeah.
pointed it out in the beginning.
Hmm.
What is your message to Gambians going into this year's election 2026? Really, it's peaceful. Is it something else? Whatever it is, what is really that you want to share with the Gambians, knowing fully well the role that you played in 2016 to ensure that the voices of Gambians is protected, and then our votes are respected, and Gambia eventually left. And since then, you've still continued to live in Gambia. You could go to England. You are a Gambian, British too. You were born in England, unless you give that citizenship up. But I would assume that you're still a citizen of United Kingdom.
Yeah. I'm a Gambian who born in England. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I still have it.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
so
mean,
that's what.
and I'm not going and I'm not going to give it up. So that means I have no chance in Gambian politics. But that's fine. Yeah. Yeah.
But yes,
So my
like your message to Gambians and what is next for Saliu.
so my message to Gambians is this, and it's the same message. I um, I last I mean in 2021 I did a video with Civil Society um, during the election period because I'm very active in election observation and monitoring. I mean I'm the chair of Gambia Participates, which is one of the biggest civil society that actually does election observation and monitoring. And first of all, we must recognize that we've come a long way as a country. The glass is half full, right? The fact that I can have this conversation with you freely and speak about anything I want and not worry about it tells you that we've come a long way. Gone are the days where we as Gambians can be intimidated by anybody, including anybody at the highest office, cannot intimidate us because we fought for it. They didn't give it to us. It's not Alan Barrow who gave us our freedom. It's us Gambians who fought for and voted for our freedom and fought for it, and of course with the help of economic. So we are the ones who fought for democracy, and we're the ones who shape our democracy. we're the one who protect our democracy. And every election is a vote of confidence, otherwise, of the incumbent for the people to appraise what the government has done in the 5 years and whether they want to keep them because they're happy with what they're doing. If not, they look at the different people who are vying for the position and choose whoever they think is the right or better person to 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 basically lead them. So this is a very, 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 very solemn responsibility for a citizen. I don't tell people to vote any particular way. I think voting for me is a personal thing. But I always ask people to vote with their conscience, to vote based on what is in the best interest of the country. I don't vote what's in my best, what my personal interests may not align with the country's interests, right? I mean, I'll tell you something. I was making more income on the Jama era than now, for sure, but 100%. But the country's interest overrides my pocket, right? So I plead with Gambians. When you're voting, look at generations of Gambians to come and choose a leader you think that can make sure that they run the country in the solemn interest of us as Gambians, as a collective, regardless of what religion we are, what tribe we belong to, where we live, what gender. It doesn't matter. It's about Gambia. Choose your leaders wisely because leaders mean president and National Assembly. Because the president is basically cabinet. He hires every cabinet minister, can fire them. So that's executive. He hires the IGP. He hires everybody. So it's a very powerful position to give to anybody. Make sure that that person is the right person that can discharge the job in the best interest of the people. National Assembly, they make the laws, also hold the president accountable and the executive. Make sure that you elect Gambians, men and women, who can deliver, have the capacity, not only technical capacity, but are morally grounded and independent minded enough to not safeguard your constituency, but the country as a whole. I think it's very important that we do that. At the council level also, choose your councillors wisely. So for me, every election we do voter education, and we tell people this is the time in Gambia. You can only decide every 5 years. We cannot recall our MPs in Gambia, for example. We can't.
Yeah.
So every 5 years is a time for you to make a statement as to whether you want to keep the system or change the system. So the choice is up to you to decide: is this system aligned with the trajectory you think Gambia should go, or otherwise? If you think it is, you keep it. If you think it isn't, you look at an option, a viable option that you think can take Gambia the way it should be. That's my last statement. And what next for me? I tell you what next for me is. I am very, very. I've been very active in public interest litigation.
Mm-hmm.
If you follow Abdullah and I have been doing. I've been really engaged in that space, and
Mm-hmm.
we really want to institutionalize it further and encourage other governments to come. I think the best way to protect our democracy, to consolidate our democracy, is through the courts. So for me, that's where I will divert my energy. I'm not interested. I am interested in politics, but
Mm-hmm.
not in partisan politics.
Okay.
I have one card. I go into the booth. I give it to the person I think is the best person. That's it. But other than that, I will always serve and support civil society. I also will try and serve wherever I can my community in different ways. And I don't want to be remembered as a lawyer, by the way. When I
Wow.
die, I don't want to be remembered as a lawyer. I want to be remembered as somebody who's impacted their society, not just a lawyer. And
That's
and, and I hope
profound.
one day, yes, I'm very, very intentional about that. I think life's more than a week and a gown, basically.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Salu. Thank you for that really deep and profound statement that you shared with us. It's really been wonderful chatting with you, and I really appreciate your time. It means a lot to me. I don't take these things for granted. I can sit down here for 3 hours to listen to you speak, because for me, you can buy a lot of things, but I can never buy your experience unless you share that, unless we sit down and have a conversation. And I think Gambians, like I always say, should do a lot more of these, for us to listen to each other, to understand our unique differences, to understand our stories. That's the only way that we can understand each other. The idea of seeing each other through through prejudicial lenses, through these biases that sometimes they have no footing whatsoever, is not the best way for us to live as Gambians. And for me, my ideal Gambian is one that I can disagree with you fundamentally, but I can still love and admire you for who you are as a human being, regardless of your religion, your race, your sex. None of those things matter at all. The fact that we are all human beings and we are Gambians, that's the most important thing. So for me, this means a lot. So once again, thank you so much, sir.
Ibrahim, it's a pleasure, and once again, I think the uh, the fact that you have come up with this space and the theme is a testament to the kind of Gambian you are, and I encourage you to keep on doing what you do. I think you're a very open-minded, constructive Gambian, and that's the Gambian we need, the Gambian we want, a Gambian that puts Gambia first, regardless of all the baggage we come with. We have to
Yeah.
put it behind us. There's one thing that matters: red, white, blue, white, green. That is it. And that's we all converge in that, in the state of Gambia, and we're all Gambians. We can have our distinct identities, but collectively we're Gambians. I think we must work towards building a nation state where we recognize ourselves as Gambians, not as I am Banjulian, I'm from Budford, I'm from Sukuta, I'm from Buyam. That's how what Gambians say when you ask them where from they are. They tell you I'm from a village. We are more of villages and towns than Gambians. And there's nothing wrong with being from a village or from a town. But do we put Gambia first or the village first? Or do we put Banjul first or the country first? If you nation states put converge to the state, not the area. I think we need to put our country first, and respect where we're from. That makes us who we are, and we be proud of it. We can be proud of it, and also be patriotic about being Gambians. It's very, very important. And I think this space is important. I also urge you to really invite older people who have a lot of wisdom to share, because there are a lot of people who've done great things in this country, and it is buried. And if you don't know your history, you will not know where you're going.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time talking to older people to learn and know what they went through, so that I can also share that with other Gambians. It's very, very important. I really urge you to, Hassan Sise,
I do.
the historian.
I've been trying to talk to him. Sal, I think we need to get in touch. I think
I
you
will
need to
link
put
you
me
with him.
on. Please,
Yeah,
please.
I think it's important. There are a lot of older Gambians who also have things to say, and they feel that they're older, they're being excluded. I think it's
I will,
important to have
yeah, no, for sure.
intergenerational conversation is very important.
Yeah.
Like this feels like an intergenerational conversation for me, and I
Yes.
really love it. And
Yes.
thank you
Me
so
too.
much,
Me too.
Ibrahim.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much,
much.
Sal. I appreciate it.
It's a,
I'll definitely connect with you for you to put me in touch with a couple of people that I know you're connected with, for sure.